Kyle Filipowski is a straight up unicorn. So if y'all haven't seen, I did a draft series where I ranked the top 5 guys I think the Heat should target at 15. I only had one big man in there. It was Khalil Ware, and that led to a ton of comments saying, "Oh, what about Filipowski? Get the 7-footer with a jump shot. Why don't you have Filipowski?" And I did some more research on Flip. He's a very, very good player. I think he could certainly play a role on this Miami Heat team. And maybe throughout the course of this video, I'll talk myself into being a little bit higher on him. Now, as far as the mock drafts, he's not as high as the other guys I picked were either. Across NBADraft.net, Bleacher Report, The Ringer, and CBS, he was listed at 21, 19, 28, and number 22. So obviously towards the back of the first round. So he's a guy that could certainly be available, even if the Heat wanted to trade back from 15.
Hey, it's me, Mini Ant, and this is how many subscribers I have right now. But I'm trying to get to 5,000 before the start of next basketball season, and I can't do it without you. So make sure to hit that button below. It's completely free.
And like that, he's just not touted as high as the other guys. So don't call me crazy, because the experts seem to not be on as high on him either. Now, he spent 2 years at Duke. He played 31 minutes a night, averaged 16 points with 8 boards and 3 assists a night. He was 50% shooting from the field, which is decent for a big man that shoots a little bit, and he was 35% from 3 on 3 attempts a night. So average to below average, but again, 7-footer, real young. If you're shooting 35% from 3, I'll take it. Now, I looked up some player comps to him, and they're pretty versatile. I guess we got Isaiah Hartenstein, who just got a report today. He might make like a 4-year, $100 million deal with the Knicks. That's a lot of money, but he did hoop for them in the playoffs, so maybe he gets it. We also got Brad Miller, who I know was like a one-time All-Star, big man that could shoot a little bit, so I guess that's where they got the pro comparison there. And then also Zach Collins and a guy that I like a lot, Mo Wagner. We talked about Mo Wagner in the Big Man series and kind of how he is a very energetic big that also has the ability to stretch the floor, score a little bit. So I do really like that Mo Wagner comparison for Kyle Filipowski. The only difference is I'm looking at signing Mo Wagner or trading for him, with minimal assets and him being a bench big. I'm not sure that's who I want to take at number 15 in the NBA draft. But moving on, Filipowski is only 20 years old. He measured in at the official combine at just about 6'11", a little over 6'11", with a wingspan around 6'11". Also, it was actually like a quarter inch shorter. So he technically has a negative wingspan, but they're equivalent enough. But kind of for a big man, you'd prefer to see, a 7-foot plus wingspan, a positive there. So it just proves better for his defensive potential and things like that. And he came in at 230 pounds. So that's kind of the thing with Flip. He's not a super big guy, although he is 7 foot. Now, for that reason, he does project to be a little bit more of a power forward because he's skinnier, he's not super physical, and he's not a great athlete either. So in the NBA, he could be a great 4. I could see him eventually being someone that starts next to Bam, but we already got Nikola Jovic. I feel like there's a lot of similarities there that we'll kind of get into. So, I mean, now you kind of see why I'm not super high on Filipowski, at least with the Miami Heat. Now, the one thing I do like is he has a solid handle for his size. He's a guy that can get a rebound and push pace a little bit. See where the Nikola Jovic comparisons are coming in. It's just he's not as shifty as Nikola Jovic. He's not as quick. The handle is not as great. But if we're comparing Filipowski to other 7-footers, that's a positive. That is something different that he can kind of bring to the table. And of course, anytime you get a big that can push pace after getting a rebound, well, I think that just helps make your offense that much more versatile, and it can be a threat in that regard. But most of his scoring does come from inside. He has a really nice touch around the rim. A lot of 7-footers are too strong on their shot, and it's hard to get those little jump hooks off. But not for Filipowski. That's something I also gave Zach Edey a lot of credit for. I'm not fans of Zach Edey either, but they have nice touch around the rim, and that's something that Filipowski has as well. Now, as far as his jump shot, I know that's kind of the thing that gets everyone crazy, even though like almost all of his shots, not all of them, but most of his shots come at the rim. People see a 7-footer that could shoot, they go crazy. I started this video by saying he's a unicorn. Now, as far as his jump shot, Very, very nice form on his jump shot. So much so that, it makes me feel confident that, he can be above 35% what he shot in college. I think he can be above that when he gets to the NBA. I think with his size, he won't have a problem getting his shot off there either. So the potential's there to be even a better shooter than what he showed in college, which is good. Now, the problem is he's not super shifty and he's not super physical. Now, when I'm looking for the Miami Heat and I'm looking at a big man, I want a big that can play defense, guard these other bigs, rebound. Because that's the issue that we had, right? We don't have a great matchup for Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic outside of Bam Adebayo, obviously. We don't have a guy that can rebound, block shots inside the paint. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not really looking for a mobile 6'10 big that can shoot the ball because that's Nikola Jokic. So for a lot of people that were saying, oh, well, how do you not have Filipowski in there? He's big, but he doesn't fit the type of big that the Miami Heat need because he's not physical at all. He's not really a post-up big. He's not going to be a guy that you can give the ball in the post and abuse a mismatch because he doesn't have that kind of physicality and he doesn't have those kind of moves down there. We've seen him get bodied by guys that were, 170, 180 in college a few times, and that's just not the type of big that I would personally love on my team. Now, some more positives, though. He is very smart and selfless. So, although he had a high usage rate at Duke, for a couple years, and even back in high school, obviously, I think that his mindset is nice in terms of finding a role in the NBA right away. I think he can have the type of game where he can transition from a 30-minute a night, 80% usage guy to a guy that can come in, maybe play 20 minutes a night right away, get us 3 or 2 up a game, attack a few closeouts, and, get a few shots up a game. And obviously he could play off ball as well because of his shooting ability. Maybe there's some pick and roll potential, even though he's not super fast or anything like that. But I do think he projects very well as a guy that could be a role player right away, even at the age of 20 years old. Because on top of the high IQ, he also has nice vision. He has a good ability to pass out of a double team. That is something that I love to see out of the bigs. Because although Filipowski is not going to really be a post move player who's going to score out of the post, he might get some catches in there and try to make a move. If the double does come, he can find guys cutting. He can find the shooters on the outside. I've mentioned this before when we talked about Khalil Ware, who was also good passing out of a double team. My guy Hassan Whiteside, y'all know that's my boy, but he was terrible at passing out of a double team. He would get stripped all the time. His vision was awful. And I remember for the longest time, his career high was like 2 assists. And I was kind of tired of that whole thing. So it is nice that Filipowski is a guy that actually does have some vision, because if you're going to try to initiate him as part of an offense and, you're looking to him to improve your offense, which is what I need on the Miami Heat, he's not only a guy that can score, he can set other guys up. And that is something that I also like. And on top of that, he hustles hard on the offensive glass. So although he's not a phenomenal rebounder, had 8 boards a game in college, which isn't terrible, but obviously he's just not super physical to box out a lot of the bigger 7-footers in the NBA. He is relentless on the offensive glass, which is something that I really like a lot, because obviously you get a lot of second chance points. It can help clean up for guys. Tyler Hero chucks a 30-foot bomb in transition. Maybe Filipowski runs back and gets the rebound. I don't know. But point is, when a guy hustles hard, you like that a lot. This is opposite of Khalil Ware, who there was some motor concerns about him, at least from the experts. Sometimes he let his offense affect his defense and that type of thing. There really is no murder. What did I just say? Murder? There is no motor. Jeez, what kind of... This is not Brandon Miller. Is that an okay joke to make? I'm recording a lot of videos tonight in this draft series, so excuse me. Anyways, Filipowski, though, some more on his offense. He's not super great at creating his own shots, although we mentioned earlier he could handle and get to the rim a little bit. Like 9 out of his, 90% of his threes were assisted, I believe. So, again, that just goes to what I was saying earlier. He's the guy that could sort of play off ball. I did find this interesting stat. He only attempted 15 dunks on the season. For a 7-footer, that is not a stat that I find beneficial, but that goes back to him not being super physical, which goes back to me not being his biggest fan. But surprisingly, he guards pretty well in space. He moves his feet pretty well, and for that reason, he holds his own on closeouts and switches, a little bit. He's not a super switchable defender, but he does move his feet well enough to hold his own. So that is something I find positive, because in this Heat system, if you can't play defense, you will not play. That is why Nikola Jovic was getting 0 PT earlier in the season. But what happens? He comes into the starting lineup mid-season to late season. The defense looks dramatically improved, and that's why Nikola Jovic started getting some runs. So Filipowski has shown an ability to be, a good enough defender, at least athletically, to not get cooked or hunted on by people in the NBA. Now, and he also has a great motor defensively too. I know we mentioned the offensive glass, defensively as well. He's not going to be a great shot blocker, all this stuff we're saying, because he's not super quick. Although he can hold his own with guards, you see what I'm saying? He's not really your dominant shot blocker. But that's really all I got to say about Kyle Filipowski. So I guess going through all my notes here that I conducted during my research, I did not convince myself on him. I am not a huge Filipowski fan. I think he can be a very great backup 4 in this league, maybe starting 4 on a really good team if they got some other pieces, but he's not someone that I would find worth the Heat's while to take at 15. But let me know what y'all think down below. Do you like Filipowski for the Heat? Is some other guys better? Let me know some other draft prospects that you might want me to look into and do some more of this series on, because the draft is coming up in less than a month, so it'll be good. But on top of that, make sure to subscribe. We're grinding to hit 5K subs by the start of next basketball season, and I do appreciate y'all a lot. So peace out.
Look, pull up in your city, tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.